From the earliest days of Pokemon, legends have existed like faint constellations guiding trainers through the unknown. The first whispers of myth in Kanto spoke not of entire worlds or dimensions, but of a single experiment gone wrong, Mewtwo, a being born from the DNA of the mysterious Mew. Scientists created it to unlock the secret of life, but instead they discovered loneliness. Its psychic power was said to be unmatched, yet its heart carried only confusion. The ruins where Mew's existence was first recorded still stand in fragments on Cinnabar Island, their burned journals describing how life itself resists control. The idea that power can't replace purpose has echoed through every generation since. While Mewtwo represented humanity's ambition, Lugia symbolized its consequence. Living deep beneath the waves, it calms storms with a single beat of its wings. In myth, Lugia was born from the eye of a hurricane and took refuge in the sea to avoid causing destruction. The Pokédex claims it prefers solitude, sleeping beneath the ocean trench to prevent its strength from ever hurting others again. Its very existence is a meditation on restraint, the balance between strength and serenity. High above, Ho-Oh burns brighter than any legend before or after. It is said that its feathers shine in 7 colors, and that those who see it are promised eternal happiness. Its origins are woven into the story of rebirth, rising from ashes after a cataclysm to bring life to those who perished in flame. The Johto myth that tells of 3 Pokemon revived by Ho-Oh, Entei, Raikou, and Suicune, mirrors the cycle of destruction and renewal. Each represents one of the forces that reshaped their tower: fire, lightning, and rain. Their lives became a prayer of balance, energy reborn from tragedy. Rayquaza, the emerald serpent of the skies, brings that same balance to the natural world. Ancient people in Hoenn carved stories of it, descending when Groudon and Kyogre fought for dominance. Its body glows like the aurora, an atmospheric guardian maintaining the boundary between heaven and earth. In later retellings, Rayquaza's mega evolution was said to be triggered not by stones, but by the energy it's absorbed from centuries of sunlight and meteor dust. Its calm between storms became one of Pokemon's most enduring metaphors, that true power is peace restored, not battle won. In Sinnoh, the scale of mythology grew beyond Earth itself. The trio of Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina represent time, space, and antimatter, the cosmic architecture of reality. Dialga's heartbeat is said to move time forward. Each pulse marks another second in existence. Palkia's breath shapes space itself, ensuring distance and dimension remain constant. And Giratina, exiled to the distortion world for its violent nature, became the reflection of everything the others created: chaos that mirrors order, shadow that defines light. Their story is not one of rivalry, but of completion. Together, they embody the duality at the core of every universe, that creation cannot exist without contrast. Not all legends dwell in such distant grandeur. Celebi, the guardian of forests, travels through time to heal nature's wounds. Wherever it appears, flowers bloom, no matter the season. The Pokédex describes it as a spirit that embodies the kindness of the forest itself, an eternal caretaker rather than a deity. Players who encounter it often feel as if they've stumbled into a dream, a brief moment where the world becomes whole again. Similarly, Jirachi sleeps for 1,000 years, awakening for only 7 days to grant wishes. Scientists speculate that its power stems from energy stored in the stars, absorbed during its long hibernation. Its myth may have originated from meteor showers that appeared once per millennium, convincing early people that a heavenly creature had descended. Its quiet demeanor and closed eyes make it seem fragile, but within that silence lies infinite potential. Regigigas, The colossal titan said to have towed continents embodies the earliest myths of human civilization. Its legend mirrors ancient tales of beings who shaped the world before mortals could measure time. It is described as having created the elemental golems, Regirock, Regius, and Registeel, by carving them from natural matter and imbuing them with life. The strings of dots across their faces are said to represent Braille, hinting that the ancients communicated with them through touch rather than speech. In later eras, scholars discovered additional sealed titans, Regieleki and Regidrago, suggesting Regigigas's work was never truly complete. Among the more mysterious legendaries stands Darkrai, the bringer of nightmares. It does not harm intentionally, but its presence causes dreams to twist into fear. The myth claims it drifts through the moonlight, searching for a way to exist without frightening others. It is forever tied to Cresselia, the embodiment of peaceful dreams, whose feathers are said to cure Darkrai's effects. Their relationship, fear and comfort, darkness and dawn, is one of the gentlest allegories in Pokémon, a reminder that light and shadow cannot exist without one another. In Unova, Reshiram and Zekrom embody truth and ideals, siblings split from a single dragon long ago. The smoke from their ancient battle is said to have formed Kyurem, a hollow shell left behind when unity shattered. Each represents a way of seeking meaning, one through honesty, the other through aspiration. The myth teaches that neither can define reality alone. Truth without hope becomes despair, and ideals without grounding become illusion. When both dragons reappear, it signals that humanity is again asking those same questions about balance. The Alolan region reinterpreted mythology through sunlight and moonlight. Solgaleo was called the beast that devours the sun, not for malice, but because it carries a star within its body, bending light as it walks. Lunala, its lunar counterpart, opens wormholes between dimensions using the energy of moonlight. In lore, both are children of Cosmog, a small, cloud-like Pokémon born from cosmic dust. Cosmog's innocence, a being of endless potential, unaware of its own importance, beautifully captures Pokémon's recurring theme, that the divine often begins as something small and overlooked. Necrozma, the Prism Pokémon, connects to them as the embodiment of light itself. Its shattered form in modern times is a reflection of imbalance. Once radiant, it now feeds on the energy of others to survive. The myth describes it as a mirror. It shines brightest when the world's hope does. The fusion of Necrozma with Solgaleo or Lunala in later stories represents the reunion of separated light, another reminder that broken things can glow again. Legends also stretch into emotion and identity. Meloetta, for example, is said to have lost its voice during a war that devastated its homeland. When it finally sang again, the melody restored color to the world. Its two forms, aria and pirouette, symbolize harmony between art and movement, music and courage. Many players never realize that the musical notes in its song match the first theme of the original Pokémon games, a hidden connection between creation and memory. One of the oldest myths still recited today tells of Hoopa, a mischievous spirit capable of bending space with its golden rings. Its smaller form is playful, but its unleashed version was said to have stolen entire castles from distant lands. The Pokédex notes that it hides treasures in desert ruins, surrounded by whispers of laughter. Even in its chaos, Hoopa embodies curiosity, the impulse to reach beyond boundaries, something humans and Pokémon both share. Latios and Latias represent compassion and empathy. They were designed with softer curves and gentle expressions to contrast the grandiosity of other legendaries. Their ability to sense human emotion is mentioned in nearly every Pokédex entry. In the anime, Their willingness to sacrifice themselves for a city they protected became one of the most emotional moments in Pokemon storytelling. Their bond proves that even beings of great power can find meaning not through strength, but through kindness. Finally, there is Manaphy, the Prince of the Sea, a creature so gentle that even the fiercest Pokemon calm in its presence. It is unique in that it can produce offspring called Phione that cannot evolve, a biological paradox that continues to puzzle researchers. Manaphy's warmth is described as a pulse that can be felt underwater, a heart that beats in rhythm with the tides. In a world filled with gods and dragons, its quiet simplicity feels sacred. These legends, vast and varied, remind us that Pokemon's mythology is not built on fear or worship, it's built on understanding. Every legendary creature, from the cosmic dragons to the smallest fairy, carries a story about balance, purpose, and emotion. When players meet them in caves, towers, or oceans, they aren't conquering myths, they're continuing them. Among all the myths scattered across the Pokemon world, few are as quietly haunting as the stories of Regigigas and its creations. Ancient texts from Sinnoh describe how Regigigas used ropes made of ice to pull continents into place, shaping the world's geography before falling into a deep sleep. The golems it left behind, Regirock, Regis, and Registeel, were said to guard the sacred chambers until their master would awaken again. Their bodies, composed of natural elements, are carved with braille markings, a tribute from an ancient civilization that revered both touch and silence as the purest forms of language. Thousands of years later, two more titans were uncovered, Regieleki, pulsing with boundless electricity, and Regidrago, whose body contains the crystallized essence of dragonkind. These five guardians form one of Pokemon's oldest and most symmetrical legacies, fragments of creation still dreaming beneath the earth. Heatran exists as a reminder that even the world's magma has memory. Dwelling in volcanic chambers, it crawls on molten walls using metallic claws, said to be remnants of the planet's birth. The Pokédex describes it as being born from hardened lava when the Earth first cooled, a creature that embodies the heat that still glows inside the planet's heart. Unlike many legendaries, Heatran is neither celestial nor divine. It's geological, a living scar of creation that never healed. The trio of Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf guard the sacred lakes of Sinnoh, Verity, Valor, and Acuity. Each represents one of the traits said to define humanity: knowledge, emotion, and willpower. The myths tell that when these three Pokemon emerged from the water, they gave humans the capacity to think, feel, and act. Uxie's gaze can erase memory, Mesprit's touch can drain emotion, and Azelf's will is strong enough to make people move unconsciously. Together, they reflect the philosophy that the human soul is not separate from nature, it's a gift shared by it. In Hoenn, Deoxys is described as a virus transformed by a laser from space, becoming sentient life. Its crystalline body shifts forms to adapt to any situation: speed, defense, attack, symbolizing the adaptability of evolution itself. Some researchers theorize that Deoxys represents the first extraterrestrial Pokemon contact, linking the Pokemon world's biology with cosmic origins. Its glowing core pulses like a heartbeat, a reminder that even life born from chaos still carries rhythm. Latios and Latias, the twin Eon Pokemon, glide through the skies like streaks of blue and red light. Their ability to sense the emotions of humans and disguise themselves as people gives them an empathy unmatched among legendaries. They are protectors, not rulers, and their myths speak of love rather than conflict. In their hidden island sanctuaries, the water reflects their shapes perfectly, suggesting harmony between mind and soul. The story of these two guardians shows that not all legends are defined by destruction. Some are simply about connection. One of the strangest Pokemon in recorded lore is Jirachi, the Wishmaker. According to ancient superstition, when 1,000 people share a wish under the same star, Jirachi awakens from its 1,000-year sleep to grant it. Scientists later found metallic tissue in its forehead resembling a closed eye, said to open only when Jirachi hears the sound of pure hope, a metaphorical way of describing emotional resonance. Despite being tiny, it's among the most powerful legendaries ever recorded, proof that kindness in Pokemon lore often carries more energy than force. Deep in Unova's forests sleeps Virizion, alongside its companions Cobalion and Terrakion. Together, they form the Swords of Justice, Pokemon inspired by the ideals of heroism, defending weaker creatures during humanity's early industrial expansion. Their lore parallels environmentalism, describing how they fought against humans who destroyed forests. Keldeo, their young apprentice, represents the new generation, adaptable and open to peace. The legend of these Pokemon captures the moment where human ambition first met conscience, turning battle into understanding. Farther north, the chilling legend of Kyurem stands as a contrast to warmth and unity. Once part of a single mighty dragon, it became hollow when truth and ideals split apart. Its body radiates cold because the energy within it was stolen away, leaving only emptiness. Yet its design, filled with broken geometry and ice crystals, mirrors resilience rather than ruin. The Pokédex claims that when Kyurem absorbs either Reshiram or Zekrom, it regains a fleeting sense of completeness, a visual metaphor for reconciliation between opposing beliefs. In Alola, the creation myths revolve around the light of Solgaleo and Lunala, two beings described as emissaries of the sun and moon. Their pre-evolution, Cosmog, is a small cloud-like Pokemon that travels between dimensions, symbolizing potential unshaped by form. Cosmog's evolution into Cosmoem compresses its mass to astronomical density, referencing the formation of stars. Solgaleo's radiance is said to open new worlds, while Lunala's wings absorb starlight to illuminate darkness. Together, they represent dawn and dusk, the quiet transitions between beginnings and endings. When light itself fractured, Necrozma emerged as the embodiment of that broken brilliance. In ancient Alolan text, it's described as once being pure radiance that blanketed the world, until something caused its body to shatter, scattering fragments of light across existence. Its hunger to reclaim that light made it a tragic figure, a being not of malice, but longing. When it merges with Solgaleo or Lunala, it's not domination but healing, pieces of what once was made whole again. The twin forces of creation and decay appear again in Kalos through Xerneas and Yveltal. Xerneas's antlers glow with rainbow light when it shares life energy with the world, turning barren forests green again. Yveltal, by contrast, absorbs life force when it spreads its wings, turning everything around it still and silent. According to legend, both Pokemon sleep for 1,000 years after their actions, one restoring, the other resting. Their eternal cycle shows that even death in the Pokemon world is not cruel. It's simply the universe breathing. Completing their balance is Zygarde, a guardian that monitors the ecosystem from the shadows. Its many forms, from a small cell to a towering serpent, represent the parts of nature working together. In times of imbalance, those fragments reunite, becoming the world's immune system. The concept came from the developer's fascination with the way cells cooperate to form life, tying science to mythology in perfect symmetry. Zygarde's purpose isn't to destroy, but to correct. a subtle reminder that harmony requires vigilance. Across distant seas lies the story of Tapu Koko, Tapu Lele, Tapu Bulu, and Tapu Fini, the island guardians of Alola. Each embodies a different aspect of nature: thunder, life, vegetation, and the sea. They're capricious beings, capable of both blessing and punishment, depending on how humans treat their islands. Their shrines are still visited today, decorated with flowers and shells. The idea that divinity responds to respect rather than sacrifice adds warmth to Pokemon's spiritual lore, faith built on gratitude, not fear. In Sinnoh's great mythic cycle, Arceus stands as the origin of all things. Said to have shaped the universe with its 1,000 arms, it birthed time, space, and spirit through the creation of Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. Scholars debate whether Arceus is a literal god or a symbolic personification of existence. What's clear is that its design, a golden ring surrounding its torso, represents the halo of infinity, turning mathematical perfection into visual poetry. In every region, the echoes of Arceus's light can still be found in the relationships between creation and decay, order and emotion. Genesect bridges the ancient and the modern, a prehistoric insect revived and modified by Team Plasma. The cannon on its back isn't organic, yet its behavior mirrors its ancient predator instincts, suggesting that evolution in Pokemon isn't limited to nature. Technology can shape it too. The concept of Genesect reinterprets the legendary archetype for the industrial age. Power born not from nature or cosmos, but from human interference, and the question of what that power means when controlled. Even stranger are the Ultra Beasts, interdimensional creatures that challenge the very definition of legendary. Nihilego resembles a jellyfish made of glass, its translucent body hiding neurotoxins. Buzzwole, Pheromosa, and Celesteela carry exaggerated traits inspired by human fears, mutation, vanity, and destruction. Guzzlord devours endlessly, leaving behind wastelands, while Kartana, though tiny, cuts through steel like paper. They represent not divinity but the unknown, science's modern mythology of what happens when we peer too far into the void. And finally, Magearna, a mechanical life form built 500 years ago, embodies the dream of artificial soul. Its heart-shaped core, called the soul heart, glows when it senses emotion, implying that even machines in Pokemon's world can feel compassion. The story of Magearna, watching over a lost princess, ties technology back to tenderness, an eternal theme in a world where even the coldest steel can learn to love. Each of these legends, no matter how grand or small, shares the same quiet truth. They exist not to rule the world, but to reflect it. When you look closely, every legendary Pokemon mirrors a part of humanity: ambition, empathy, fear, or hope. They remind us that myth isn't just history retold, it's emotion remembered. In the quietest corners of Johto's mythology lies the tale of Raikou, Entei, and Suicune, three Pokemon born from tragedy. When the brass tower burned, it was Ho-Oh who descended through the smoke to breathe life into the fallen. Each Pokemon reflects one aspect of that fire: Raikou carrying the lightning that ignited it, Entei embodying the flames that consumed it, and Suicune representing the rain that finally brought peace. Their story isn't about destruction, but renewal, an allegory for forgiveness. The tower's ruins still stand, silent and charred, as if forever waiting for another rainbow to appear overhead. Lugia, the guardian of the seas, is said to rest deep within the Whirl Islands, its wings so powerful that a single flap can summon a hurricane. In the anime and games alike, Lugia represents patience, a being of immense strength that hides itself to preserve calm. Its song, first heard in Pokemon 2000, was composed using wind chimes and ocean field recordings to reflect both grace and melancholy. The developers later confirmed that Lugia's design was inspired not by a bird, but by a dragon crossed with a diving whale, a creature made to embody both sky and sea. High above the clouds, Rayquaza weaves through the ozone layer, its long, serpentine body glowing with the energy of meteor dust. The ancient people of Hoenn recorded its sightings on stone tablets, believing it to be a celestial dragon that punished arrogance. Its mega evolution design, with streaming energy ribbons and glowing patterns, was based on depictions of Asian dragons ascending into the heavens. In the lore, Rayquaza's calm descends only when Groudon and Kyogre's chaos threatens the world, making it a symbol of peace restored through understanding. In contrast to Rayquaza's order stands Giratina, banished to the distortion world for its violent nature. This realm, where gravity folds and reflections move independently, mirrors the concept of antimatter. Giratina is not evil, its balance is shadow. When it shifts between its origin and altered forms, it demonstrates the coexistence of freedom and restraint, chaos that protects the rules by existing beyond them. Its Pokédex entry, describing it watching silently from another dimension, captures the unease of something eternal yet unseen, like the universe itself, acknowledging its imperfections. Dialga and Palkia form the other sides of that cosmic equation. Dialga, said to control time, is based on a fusion of dinosaur and clockwork motifs, its body encrusted with metallic spines that resemble gears. Each of its roars is believed to move time forward, a poetic explanation for how existence continues. Palkia governs space, and its design draws from pearls and water, representing reflection and infinity. Together, these two Pokemon shaped Sinnoh's most ambitious storytelling arc, one that dared to treat science and mythology as the same language. The mythic triangle continues in Unova with Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kyurem. Reshiram's flowing mane and flame-powered tail represent truth, illumination that burns falsehood. Zekrom's turbine tail glows with electricity, symbolizing ideals, energy that drives the future. Kyurem, their fractured remainder, embodies absence. Its icy form feels incomplete, not because it failed, but because it reflects humanity's own divided nature. The developers confirmed that Kyurem's asymmetrical design intentionally looks unfinished, visualizing what it means to be whole yet hollow. The more playful legends appear in Hoenn's trickster Pokemon, Jirachi and Deoxys, both connected to celestial events. Jirachi awakens with the touch of a pure wish, while Deoxys formed from a mutated space virus. When Deoxys first appeared in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, players could only encounter it through special events, enhancing its aura of mystery. Its shifting forms, attack, defense, speed, and normal, represent survival, each reflecting an evolutionary response to different challenges. Both Jirachi and Deoxys remind players that the stars in Pokemon's universe are not cold, they are alive, listening. The gentlest of legends, Shaymin, purifies polluted air by transforming toxins into fresh grass. Its sky form, unlocked by gratitude, was intentionally designed to resemble a messenger, a small being that delivers hope. The concept behind Shaymin's transformation is emotional rather than physical. When surrounded by kindness, it changes. That theme of gratitude connects back to one of the earliest Pokemon lessons, that love, not battle, defines strength. Another legend born from human emotion is Darkrai. Said to bring nightmares, it's often mistaken for malevolent. Yet its Pokédex entries clarify it only defends itself. Its relationship with Cresselia, the bringer of pleasant dreams, symbolizes emotional equilibrium, fear balanced by comfort. In one of the franchise's most haunting Pokédex lines, Cresselia's feathers are described as glowing like a crescent moon, curing the darkness in a person's heart. The contrast between their energies turns sleep itself into mythology, rest as a sacred act watched over by dream and shadow. In Alola, the legends become celestial. Solgaleo, the beast that devours the sun, carries a star within its body, generating light that bridges worlds. Lunala, its lunar counterpart, unfolds wings that resemble a night sky, creating wormholes through the cosmic veil. Their shared pre-evolution, Cosmog, known affectionately as Nebby, is one of the few legendary Pokémon treated as a child, curious, trusting, and unaware of its importance. This innocence gives their story warmth rarely found in divine myths, turning cosmic creation into a tale of companionship. Necrozma represents the other side of that story, light-fractured and hungry. In ancient times, it shone so brightly that its body illuminated all worlds, but when it lost that brilliance, it began to feed on the radiance of others. In its ultra form, it absorbs everything it once gave, mirroring the human tendency to take from what we fail to cherish. Yet its ability to merge with Solgaleo or Lunala to regain balance suggests redemption. Even broken light can heal when guided by others. Then there is Hoopa, the mischievous ring-bearer of legends. Its ability to summon anything from anywhere was said to once cause chaos across kingdoms. When sealed, Hoopa became small and gentle again, a visual metaphor for restraint and humility. In Pokémon Omega, Ruby, and Alpha Sapphire, Hoopa's rings appear as golden portals connecting dimensions, reflecting how curiosity can open doors not meant to be touched. Its dual forms, confined and unbound, symbolize curiosity, both innocent and dangerous. Genesect, re-engineered from prehistoric fossils, ties the idea of evolution to morality. Team Plasma's experiments on it are recorded as one of the darkest technological acts in the series. Yet the Pokémon itself, when left alone, hunts only with instinct, suggesting that corruption lies not in power, but in how it's used. The glowing cannon on its back, powered by color-coded drives, became a design symbol of adaptability, even artificial life finding purpose and freedom. The Alolan Tapu Guardians, Koko, Lele, Bulu, and Fini, represent another side of divinity, nature's emotion. Each one mirrors an element of balance between life and discipline. Tapu Koko's speed embodies energy. Tapu Lele's psychic aura channels emotion. Tapu Bulu restores plant life, and Tapu Fini cleanses water with purifying mist. Their shrines across the islands still stand today, adorned by villagers who see them not as gods, but as neighbors. These Pokémon serve as living proof that reverence can exist without hierarchy, worship replaced by gratitude. Finally, Zacian and Zamazenta, the twin heroes of Galar, redefined legend through history rather than divinity. Once seen as partners to ancient warriors, they embody honor and protection, one wielding a sword forged from air itself, the other carrying a shield so strong it can repel dragons. Their sleeping forms, found rusted in forgotten forests, parallel the way myths decay over time. Yet when reawakened, their gleaming forms remind us that faith never truly dies. It simply waits to be remembered. All of these Pokémon, scattered across centuries of games and stories, share one thread. They exist to remind humanity of balance. Whether through dreams, storms, or stars, they show that power and peace are never opposites. They are rhythm and rest, always returning to one another. Long before the first Pokeballs were built, travelers spoke of Victini, a small Pokemon said to carry infinite energy. According to Nova legend, whoever shares a bond with Victini gains victory in every battle, not through luck but through balance of spirit. The Pokédex describes its flame as an endless power source, a gentle spark that never fades. Developers confirmed its Pokédex number, 000, was intentional, a symbol that it exists outside normal order, the eternal beginning of hope. Its presence in Liberty Garden, an isolated island, mirrors the quiet solitude of faith itself, a promise hidden from noise, waiting to be found. High above the clouds, Tornadus, Thundurus, and Landorus drift through the winds as the forces of nature. Tornadus controls tempests, Thundurus channels lightning, and Landorus calms the land after their chaos. The trio is based on the kami of Japanese folklore, with swirling tails shaped like wind patterns from ancient art. In their Therian forms, they take on animal shapes, a bird, a serpent, and a lion, symbolizing air, sky, and soil. The Pokédex notes that they never destroy without purpose. Each storm renews the land afterward, reinforcing the cycle of cleansing and growth. Across distant mountains, Calyrex rules as the king of bountiful harvests, its gentle eyes hiding centuries of wisdom. In the legends of Galar's crowned tundra, Calyrex was once worshipped as a god, but as humans turned from myth to science, its power faded. It rides upon either Glastrier or Spectrier, two steeds representing strength and spirit. When bonded, the pair becomes whole again, restoring Calyrex's grace. The story was inspired by European folklore of the Green Man, a symbol of nature watching silently as time changes belief. Calyrex's tale is both melancholy and comforting, reminding players that forgotten faith still blooms quietly within the heart. In Galar's martial temples, Kubfu learns discipline before evolving into Urshifu. The evolution path, single strike or rapid strike, depends not on strength but on mindset. The single strike style embodies focus and precision, while the rapid strike formed channels flow and adaptability. Their design was influenced by Shaolin martial arts and the philosophy of yin and yang. Urshifu's Gigantamax form, where its fists generate infinite energy rings, represents the mastery of body and soul united. It is one of the few legendary Pokémon whose legend begins humbly, not as a divine being, but as a student of patience. The quiet power of Zarude resides in the jungles of Galar. Known for its territorial behavior, it moves in packs and raises its young with fierce protection. Despite its aggression, Zaruda's myth is one of empathy. In the anime, it adopts a human child, showing that even wild instincts can learn compassion. Its dark and grass typing represents duality, survival, and nurture intertwined. The vines wrapped around its arms continuously grow, symbolizing the endless cycle of family and forest. In Paldea, the ruins whisper the names of Wo Qian, Qianpao, Tinglu, and Qiyu, collectively known as the Treasures of Ruin. Each was born from human greed when cursed objects absorbed malice and took form. Wo Qian, the Tablets of Resentment, carries the memories of betrayal. Qianpao, the Sword of Ruin, moves like vengeance made ice. Tinglu, the Vessel of Despair, stomps with the weight of sorrow. And Qiyu, the Beads of Envy, burns with eternal jealousy. Their designs fuse natural creatures with artifacts, showing that human emotion can shape even the wild. When the player releases them from their shrines, it's an act of acknowledgement, freeing the consequences of history rather than erasing them. Enamorus, the fourth of the forces of nature, arrived much later, representing love and renewal. It embodies the warmth that follows storms, its pink clouds wrapping the world in calm. The heart-shaped pattern of its wings isn't just aesthetic. It mirrors the swirling motion of spring winds that scatter seeds. In contrast to its companion's tempestuous rolls, an Amoris represents gentleness and rebirth. It's a small but powerful symbol that nature's final expression after chaos and thunder is tenderness. Back in Hisui, the early form of Sinnoh, the gods of space and time still walked the world. The myth of Origin Palkia and Origin Dialga in Legends. Arceus reimagined them not as distant cosmic deities, but as primal forces, raw and unrefined, closer to their true beginnings. Their redesigns incorporated ancient motifs, with serpentine bodies and halos of power representing unfiltered creation. These forms illustrate a recurring theme in Pokémon. The further back one travels in time, the more divine forces resemble chaos, showing that order is something the world gradually learned. Regidrago and Regieleki, the two modern titans of Galar, were created from energy itself. Regidrago's body holds crystallized dragon power, its torso resembling an open dragon's jaw, a design choice meant to suggest that even destruction once served as communication. Regieleki's entire form hums with electric current, said to generate enough energy to power a city. Together, they complete Regigigas's original dream, the creation of balance across every element, from matter to motion. Kubfu's monastery teachings speak of harmony, but another legend from the same region reflects its opposite. Eternatus, a massive dragon-like Pokémon discovered deep underground, represents infinite energy gone wrong. Its body is skeletal and geometric, a visual metaphor for raw power stripped of purpose. In Galar's history, Eternatus's energy caused the darkest day, when the sky turned crimson and Pokémon went berserk. The Sword and Shield heroes, aided by Zacian and Zamazenta, eventually subdued it. Even so, the power it radiates remains, the same infinity energy that fuels Dynamax transformations. Eternatus is both caution and catalyst, the reminder that life's greatest forces are neither good nor evil, only shaped by how they're used. In Alola, Marshadow hides in shadows, observing the hearts of fighters. It mimics battle styles perfectly, moving with ghostly precision. Legends say that when it appears beside a warrior, it's a test of sincerity, a mirror for the soul. Its spectral design, with flickering green flames, was inspired by the feeling of unseen courage, bravery that goes unnoticed yet remains vital. It's one of the few Pokémon whose power depends entirely on integrity, its strength rising only when its opponent fights honestly. Zeraora, the thunderclap Pokémon, is a modern myth of technology's guardian. Said to harness plasma currents, it protects power plants from overload by absorbing stray electricity. In the anime, its story parallels loneliness, a creature that avoids humans out of mistrust, yet still saves them in silence. Zeraora's fur glows faintly blue during storms, a detail animated frame by frame to reflect static discharge. It's a small, technical touch that conveys quiet empathy, lightning that comforts instead of destroys. When the Galar region rediscovered its forgotten past, new legends emerged from mythic ruins. Kubfu's teachings passed to students. Zacian and Zamazenta regained their weapons, and Calyrex's garden bloomed again. These stories weren't about gods descending, but about the world remembering its balance. In that way, Pokémon's modern myths feel human, history not written in stone, but lived through care. Across all regions, legendary Pokémon share one secret: none of them seek worship. They appear when the world is ready to listen. Whether in fire, rain, or wind, They embody lessons that humanity still struggles to learn, that harmony is not control, and that reverence is quiet understanding. Each encounter, whether cosmic or earthly, becomes an echo of that truth. Far from sacred temples and ancient ruins, Meltan represents a new kind of legend, one born not from worship but discovery. First appearing mysteriously in Pokemon Go as an unknown silhouette, players initially thought it was a glitch. Its body, a single floating nut with a liquid metal core, reflected both technology and biology. Over time, it became clear that Meltan was no error at all, but a deliberate creation, a living machine. Its Pokédex entries explain that it can merge with others of its kind, fusing into Melmetal, a towering figure whose body moves through electromagnetic pulses. Melmetal's constant shifting gives the illusion that it is alive within its own armor, a creature born from modern science but still guided by something older, the same creative force that shaped all life in the Pokemon world. The story of Diancie glitters like a gem carved by time. According to the lore, Diancie is a sudden mutation of a carbink that achieved consciousness and brilliance. It's said to create diamonds instantly by compressing carbon in the air, a nod to the geological processes that take millions of years in the real world. In the Pokemon movie that features Diancie, it searches for a source of power to save its kingdom, highlighting a theme shared by many mythicals, the burden of beauty. Its Mega Evolution form radiates like a chandelier of light and crystal, symbolizing perfection through transformation. Artists confirmed that every gem on its body was individually sculpted in the model, emphasizing how even divinity can exist in detail. The shadowed counterpart to that beauty is Darkrai, whose legend stretches further with every telling. Its power to cause nightmares comes from self-defense, yet myths often cast it as a villain. The Pokemon Company later clarified that Darkrai's nightmares only affect those who enter its territory, an allegory for misunderstood isolation. Its sleek black form, with a wisp-like mane, mirrors the concept of sleep paralysis, beauty and fear coexisting. When paired with Cresselia, whose presence brings tranquil dreams, the two form one of Pokemon's most emotionally balanced dualities, darkness and moonlight intertwined, each giving the other meaning. Deep underground, Heatran clings to the magma that sustains it. Every plate on its body glows with molten light, and when it moves, it leaves trails of magma behind. In Sinnoh's myths, it's the keeper of volcanic flow, the pulse of the planet itself. Its presence connects to Mount Stark, a reminder that even the Earth's core has consciousness in the Pokemon world. In development, Heatran's design was one of the first to merge animal anatomy with geology, giving the sense that its form could have evolved naturally from lava. It is one of the few legendaries capable of breeding, a quiet nod that even eternal forces may still dream of legacy. Regigigas stands as the architect of Titans, the being said to have pulled continents into place. Its massive form, marked with braille-like dots, ties directly into the puzzle culture of early Pokemon games. According to the Pokédex, it towed the continents with ropes, which fans interpret as metaphors for tectonic movement. Its trio of creations, Regirock, Regice, and Registeel, were made in its image, each representing natural materials that form the world's surface. Later, Regieleki and Regidrago expanded the theme to energy and legend. Yet, the most mysterious part of Regigigas' lore lies in its sleep. It slumbers deep beneath a frozen temple, awaiting reawakening only when the world is ready. That silence mirrors the way myths rest in the human mind, never gone, just dormant. A more recent legend, Zarude, emerged from modern wilderness myths. Its vine-wrapped body represents both aggression and nurturing protection. When Pokemon the movie, Secrets of the Jungle was released, Zarude's story became one of the most human in the franchise, a solitary guardian raising an orphan child. This depiction transformed what could have been a feral creature into a symbol of fatherhood. The movie's writers said that they wanted to show love as an instinct, not just an emotion. Zarude's green energy symbolizes life itself, wild, chaotic, and unyielding. From the frozen tundra comes Articuno, a Pokemon older than any written history. Its feathers are said to freeze the air as it flies, and early explorers believed blizzards were caused by its wings. The Galarian variant, however, shifted this myth entirely. Instead of ice, its psychic power creates illusions of frost and wind. This reinterpretation demonstrates how Pokemon mythology evolves like real folklore, adapting to new generations. Even among fans, Articuno represents serenity, its song used in orchestral Pokemon concerts to mimic the stillness of winter. Zapdos, the Thunderbird, mirrors a different kind of storm. Its design draws from Aztec imagery and Japanese depictions of thunder gods. When it spreads its wings, sparks rain down, yet its cry is not rage, it's warning. The Galarian form replaces lightning with combat, its body covered in golden plumage that reflects sunlight. Developers described it as a grounded thunder, representing strength rooted in discipline rather than chaos. Each version reflects the same spirit, energy guided by purpose. Moltres, the final of the original bird trio, burns with a fire that symbolizes passion and endurance. In Kanto's legend, it brings early spring, thawing snow and signaling renewal. The Galarian form inverts this entirely, embodying the cruelty of obsession and pride, its dark flames consuming not for warmth, but domination. Together, the bird trio represents the complete emotional spectrum of power, serenity, control, and ambition, three aspects that cycle endlessly like weather across the human heart. The twin dragons of Unova, Reshiram, and Zekrom remain among the most visually symbolic designs in the series. Reshiram's flame-powered tail was modeled after a turbine, signifying progress through truth. Zekrom's tail functions as a generator, producing energy that powers ideals. They are two halves of a single truth, the eternal conflict between what is right and what is real. Kyurem, their shattered third, completes the triad of balance. When fused, their stories become one, humanity's dream to reconcile difference through connection. Xerneas, the life Pokemon, stands as Kalos's most peaceful deity. Its glowing antlers shine with rainbow light, representing the colors of life's diversity. When it releases this energy, it's said to share vitality with all living things. In the games, after using its power, it transforms into a tree, reflecting natural cycles of rebirth. Its opposite, Yveltal, embodies destruction. When it spreads its wings, it absorbs life energy to restore balance. Together, they mirror the concept of entropy and renewal. Their existence isn't about conflict, but necessity. Both are sacred ends of the same circle. Zygarde, the unseen third, observes from beneath the earth. Its segmented form allows it to divide and reform as needed, representing adaptability. The Pokédex explains that Zygarde monitors ecosystem balance, intervening only when the environment is in peril. Its core, cell, and complete forms show biological cooperation, many small entities uniting as one consciousness. It is perhaps the purest expression of the natural order in Pokemon, neither good nor evil, but alive and aware. In Alola, Tapu Fini, Tapu Bulu, Tapu Lele, and Tapu Koko each guard a part of the islands. They are nature personified, their actions whimsical yet deliberate. Tapu Koko's curiosity draws it to humans, while Tapu Lele tests their intentions. Tapu Bulu nurtures forests, and Tapu Fini protects oceans with mists that reflect souls. Together, they embody the idea that guardianship is not control, it is coexistence. Back in Sinnoh, the legendary Heatran maintains its watch beneath volcanoes. Its glowing shell inspired the design of modern Pokemon lava zones in later games. Despite being one of the earliest legendaries with both genders, it remains solitary, proof that even gods can be alone in their duty. Far beyond the known regions, the Ultra Beasts introduce the concept of alien divinity. Creatures like Nihilego, Buzzwole, and Pheromosa challenge the idea of what defines a Pokemon. Their origin tied directly to wormholes and energy fields that connect universes. The theme of these creatures is curiosity turned consequence, the moment when humanity's search for knowledge becomes encounter. And finally, Magyarna, the mechanical Pokemon created 500 years ago, embodies the bridge between technology and emotion. Its heart, the soul heart, allows it to feel the sorrow and joy of others. Unlike other artificial Pokemon, it was designed with empathy. The concept art notes describe Magyarna as a clockwork wish, representing that compassion is the most advanced creation of all. Every legendary Pokemon, whether ancient or modern, natural or artificial, reflects a single idea: power given purpose. Some rule weather, some time, some emotion, but all share one truth. They exist to remind humanity that strength without understanding is only noise. Long before Pokeballs or trainers, the story of Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion was whispered across Unova. The trio, known as the Swords of Justice, first appeared during an age of war when humans hunted Pokemon to extinction. Cobalion, the leader, embodied reason, calm and steady, its metallic body deflecting violence without resorting to it. Terrakion represented strength, its hooves shaking mountains as it shielded the weak. Virizion embodied compassion, its swift movements forming barriers of green light to protect forests from fire. Together, the three symbolized balance between courage and mercy. Their bond later inspired Keldeo, a youthful apprentice who mastered the secret sword technique. Keldeo's evolution from timid student to brave guardian mirrors the coming-of-age tales told in the oldest human legends, where innocence transforms through purpose. In Sinnoh, deep beneath Lake Verity, Lake Valor, and Lake Acuity, three silent figures rest: Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf. These Pokemon are said to have emerged at the dawn of human consciousness. Uxie bestowed knowledge, Mesprit emotion, and Azelf willpower, the three gifts that define humanity itself. In the lore of Sinnoh, their spirits rise when the world forgets what makes it human, guiding the lost back to balance. Their influence shaped the region's philosophy of coexistence, wisdom, empathy, and resolve, each dependent on the others. The Pokédex mentions that those who meet Uxie's gaze lose their memory, symbolizing that pure knowledge cannot exist without sacrifice. Mesprit's presence is said to bring tears of joy or sorrow, while Azelf's willpower burns brightly even in despair. Together, they form the quiet heartbeat of all living thought. Across Hoenn's seas and caverns, three other ancient beings dwell: Regirock, Regis, and Registeel. They are known collectively as the legendary Titans. Each one embodies an element of creation: stone, ice, and metal. According to legend, they were sculpted by Regigigas itself to shape the foundations of the world. Their shrines, hidden deep within Hoenn, use Braille inscriptions as keys, a real-world nod to the developer's message of inclusivity and hidden knowledge. When discovered by players in the early 2000s, the puzzles linking these titans were among the most mysterious in Pokemon history. They represented the joy of discovery through silence, a theme that continued with the later introduction of Regieleki and Regidrago, who added energy and spirit to the cycle of material creation. Together, these beings stand as monuments to time, the bones of the planet made flesh. In Sinnoh's harsh peaks, Heatran guards volcanic veins that keep the earth alive. Its glowing metal shell, cracked with molten light, mirrors the tension between restraint and eruption. Though it was introduced as a solitary creature, it remains one of the few legendaries to have both male and female forms, symbolizing balance within destruction. The concept art for Heatran described it as the heartbeat of mountains, an immortal being that sustains the cycle of renewal through fire. Elsewhere, in the frozen corners of Hoenn, Regis preserves ancient air within its body, a literal relic of a time before humanity. Its Pokédex notes that it never melts, no matter the temperature, because it is made from a substance unknown to science. Regirock, in contrast, rebuilds itself with stones it finds nearby, showing adaptability and self-healing. Registeel's alloy is harder than any known metal, its origin a mystery even to the people of the Pokemon world. Together, their continued presence suggests that nature's foundation never disappears, it simply takes new form. In the myths of Johto, the story of the burned tower continues to echo through centuries. Ho-Oh, the phoenix of the skies, resurrected the three beasts that perished in the fire, Raikou, Entei, and Suicune. The tower once stood opposite the bell tower, each representing heaven and earth, light and flame. The event that destroyed it became the defining legend of rebirth in Pokemon history. According to Pokédex accounts, those who see Ho-Oh's rainbow feathers are promised eternal happiness. In the anime, this myth expanded into a visual motif, Ash seeing Ho-Oh at the very beginning of his journey, symbolizing hope that never ends. The fire, lightning, and rain of the trio represent purification, the cleansing of destruction through renewal. In the darkest corners of Unova, scientists once uncovered a frozen creature, Kyurem, the empty being. It was said to have fallen from the same event that birthed Reshiram and Zekrom, but its body shattered in the process. The frozen air surrounding it drains heat from everything nearby, a side effect of its incompleteness. The Pokédex says it waits endlessly for something to fill the void inside. When fused with either Reshiram or Zekrom, Kyurem becomes whole again, a powerful symbol of how wholeness can only exist through union. In development, its asymmetrical design was deliberately unsettling, the jagged ice and incomplete wing reflecting imperfection as part of existence. Beneath the ocean, in a cave lost to coral and salt, Manaphy and Phione dwell in serenity. Manaphy is unique among legendaries for its ability to breed, producing Phione, a smaller counterpart that cannot evolve back. This biological paradox, a legendary species that reproduces, highlights Pokemon's blending of myth and ecology. In the anime, Manaphy's story focuses on parental love and longing for home. Its telepathic connection to the sea, reminding players that water in Pokemon is never just an element. It's a memory. The egg of Manaphy, discovered in Pokemon Ranger, bridged gameplay between spin-offs and the main series, becoming one of the most memorable event items in the franchise's history. In Alola, the Celestial Guardians continue the theme of balance. Solgaleo and Lunala, born from the small and curious Cosmog, represent light and shadow in perfect unity. Solgaleo's mane glows like the sun, while Lunala's wings open into constellations, forming a gate between dimensions. The developers confirmed that both were inspired by alchemical symbols, gold and silver, day and night, consciousness and dream. The journey of Cosmog into Cosmoem before evolving shows the process of growth through patience. When players first met Nebi, the childlike Cosmog who followed them through Alola, they saw perhaps the most human depiction of divinity in the entire series, innocence ascending through care. Hidden away in Hisui, Cresselia glides silently through night skies, leaving trails of lunar dust. In contrast to Darkrai's dream of fear, Cresselia's feathers heal and soothe. Its Pokédex states that holding one of these feathers brings happy dreams. Its crescent shape embodies the waxing and waning of emotions, gentle reminders that even peace changes form. In the real world, its design draws from the moon's mythology in many cultures, where the crescent represents the eternal return of light after darkness. From the scorching desert to the frozen tundra, from the sky's heights to the deep ocean, every legendary Pokémon acts as a thread in one vast tapestry, not of control, but of harmony. The stories of humans and Pokémon are not separate myths. They're one shared history written in lightning, flame, water, and time. Each creature carries part of a lesson the world keeps learning, that creation is never finished. Far beyond the reach of mortal science, the myth of Hoopa begins not in creation, but in curiosity. This small, golden-ringed Pokémon once opened portals between worlds, summoning entire castles and oceans through thin air. Ancient Unovan texts describe it as the Djinn of Rings, able to bend space with a flick of its fingers. But its power grew wild, and when greed replaced wonder, its unbound form emerged, a towering, six-armed giant that could control dimensions. According to in-game lore, it was sealed within a bottle to prevent further chaos, and that seal became its punishment and protection. In the Pokémon world, it's said that when Hoopa's rings glow in twilight, the line between dreams and distance disappears. In development, its dual forms were designed to resemble two sides of curiosity, discovery and obsession. Long before Hoopa was ever sealed, another artificial legend was born, Genesect. Revived by Team Plasma from an ancient fossil, this insect-like predator was given a metallic exoskeleton and a cannon that fires energy drives. Its original form, millions of years old, once hunted in packs, preying on weaker species with strategic intelligence. The modern version, however, was isolated, weaponized by human hands. The Pokédex calls it a Pokémon that was given modern power, but beneath that line is tragedy. The glowing light on its cannon shifts colors based on the drive it carries, representing lost adaptability turned into forced specialization. In design notes, its creator at Game Freak described it as the ghost of technology, a reflection of how humanity reanimates history to serve its own ambitions. When the skies darkened above Hoenn, the people prayed not to gods, but to balance. The weather trio, Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza, represent the raw forces of the world. Kyogre, born from the deep trenches, shaped the oceans. Groudon, forged in magma, raised continents. Rayquaza, who slept in the ozone, maintained the peace. Their clash is not a battle of good and evil, but of existence and equilibrium. Ancient murals in the Cave of Origin show their spiraling forms encircling the planet, an image that became one of the earliest examples of environmental storytelling in Pokémon. When Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire reintroduced them through primal reversions, it tied mythology to geology, the idea that the planet itself remembers. Further into Sinnoh's skies, Cresselia and Darkrai continue their celestial waltz. Though often described as opposites, both are protectors of sleep, The Pokédex says Cresselia's feathers glow like the crescent moon and heal sadness, while Darkrai guards its island against trespassers, inducing nightmares to drive away harm. Together, they form a natural cycle: fear followed by peace, shadow followed by dawn. In ancient texts from Canalave City, they're called the twin spirits of dream, each guiding the other's realm. Their shared mythology draws from lunar duality in world folklore: the moon that both watches and hides, the comfort that exists only because darkness once did. Long before the first Pokédex, Celebi moved quietly through time's folds. Known as the guardian of forests, its green light appears wherever nature is healing. When a forest regrows, travelers sometimes glimpse its small form, a flicker of movement among sunlight. Celebi's time-traveling nature isn't a weapon, but a memory of what balance once looked like. Its theme song in the anime, written using soft chime tones and reversed melodies, mirrors the feeling of remembering something beautiful from the future. In developer commentary, its design was described as a seed that travels through time, a poetic reminder that every beginning carries an echo of what it will someday become. In Unova, 3 dragons embody opposing truths: Reshiram, the flame of truth; Zekrom, the lightning of ideals; and Kuram, the hollow shell of reality. Their story was inspired by Taoist philosophy, the balance of yin and yang with emptiness as the third element. Reshiram's turbine tail burns white with purity. Zekrom's engine hums with defiance. Kuram's frozen body bridges them both. Each represents humanity's struggle between reason, belief, and loss. When Kuram fuses with the others, its name changes to White Kuram or Black Kuram, illustrating unity through difference. The team at Game Freak confirmed that their designs were deliberately asymmetrical, a visual metaphor for how truth and ideals will never fully align, yet cannot exist apart. Deep in the snowy crown tundra, Calyrex sits upon its stone throne, a relic of memory. Once a king worshipped by the people, its power waned as faith faded. When the player restores its bond with its steed, Glastrier or Spectrier, it regains the ability to speak telepathically, explaining that gratitude itself gives strength. Glastrier's ice represents endurance, while Spectrier's ghostly mane embodies freedom. In development, their dual designs mirrored the dualities of winter, stillness, and spirit. Calyrex's wide eyes were purposefully drawn to suggest ancient empathy, a ruler who watches without judgment. Volcanion, another mythical discovered through machinery rather than myth, is said to live in mountains surrounded by mist. It expels steam hot enough to melt rock, forming a cloud barrier that hides its home. The ring's structure on its back channels superheated water through pressure jets, making it both engine and volcano. The Pokédex calls it a Pokémon that turns steam into power, a line that subtly references the Industrial Revolution, the blending of organic and mechanical life. It stands as a symbol of the balance between progress and preservation, a creature both born of and wary of human invention. Meanwhile, Jirachi, the sleeping star, continues its 1,000-year rest. When it awakens, it grants wishes written on paper, attached to its head. The tradition mirrors Japan's Tanabata festival, where people tie wishes to bamboo trees. The myth says that Jirachi understands all human languages but chooses silence, communicating only through emotion. In the games, its move, Doom Desire, was designed to reflect patience, the idea that what we wish for takes time to arrive. Its gentle steel body and childlike eyes remind players that even the smallest beings can hold cosmic power. Victini, the embodiment of victory, lives unseen within every triumph. Legends in Unova say that when a trainer wins with kindness, a spark of Victini's light flickers around them. The number 000 in its Pokédex is deliberate, not before one, but beneath everything. It represents potential energy, the spark before creation. The developers described it as the motive of joy, a creature that doesn't fight to win, but wins because it brings harmony. Its design, small, glowing, and endlessly smiling, was made to embody comfort rather than power, turning victory itself into an act of peace. In the warm islands of Alola, Tapu Koko and its siblings protect the natural world not by domination, but through challenge. Each guardian tests humanity's respect for balance. Tapu Koko plays with lightning, its laughter echoing across valleys. Tapu Lele spreads energy through pollen, a living reflection of emotion's duality. Tapu Bulu cultivates forests, and Tapu Fini's mist cleanses both body and soul. Together, they form an ecosystem of divine reciprocity, proof that nature is never passive. It interacts, teaches, and responds. The Ultra Beasts expanded Pokemon's concept of divinity entirely. Creatures like Nihilego, Buzzwole, and Celesteela come not from mythology, but from dimensions beyond comprehension. Nihilego's jelly-like form represents parasitic influence, the fusion of curiosity and danger. Buzzwole exaggerates physical perfection to absurdity, parodying humanity's obsession with strength. Celesteela resembles a bamboo rocket, its propulsion rooted in old folklore about heavenly maidens ascending to the stars. In creating them, Game Freak explored a new form of myth, one where gods are alien, their motives unknown, yet, like all Pokemon, they remain grounded in nature, another face of life, not its opposite. Back in Galar, the tale of Zacian and Zamazenta still endures. When the darkest day engulfed the world, the two heroes rose, wielding sacred weapons of light. Their sleeping forms rusted into legend, only to awaken when humanity remembered them. Zacian's sword represents clarity. Zamazenta's shield stands for protection. The third being, Eternatus, embodies unchecked ambition, its body spiraling like a fossilized storm. The story of the three mirrors, humanity's own pattern, forgetting balance, losing control, and learning again. Every generation reinterprets its gods. Some, like Mew, remain timeless, a soft, pink origin of all Pokemon life. Mew's DNA contains every genetic code, a scientific miracle reimagined as sacred truth. Others, like Arceus, reshape creation itself, forging universes from light and silence. Yet even these oldest beings are not distant. They exist wherever understanding does. The beauty of the legendary pantheon lies in its reflection of the world itself. Myths evolve like species, beliefs adapt like elements. From the smallest island deity to the grandest cosmic architect, every Pokemon story is another verse in the same quiet song that the universe, no matter how vast or divided, dreams through every living thing. In the land once called Hisui, the earliest chapters of legendary history still breathe beneath untouched snow. Here, the ancient people did not call Dialga and Palkia gods. They called them the lords of time and space. Their shapes in this age are more primal, less divine, embodying the chaos that existed before structure. When these origin forms were rediscovered in modern Sinnoh, scholars realized the truth. Divinity was never perfection, it was rawness, the power to shape form before definition. In the myth of Hisui, the people built shrines not to worship, but to remember that the universe once spoke in storms and silence. At the summit of Mount Coronet, Giratina lingered between worlds, banished for its violence, yet destined to guard the boundary between life and the unknown. Its home, the distortion world, bends gravity and perspective, resembling a dream more than a place. The developers crafted it as a mirror dimension, every action inverted, every color reflected. It was meant to visualize guilt and consequence, not evil. Giratina's origin form stretches like a serpent through infinite space, symbolizing how punishment and purpose can become the same when time no longer moves. In the lore, it watches without hate, maintaining the balance that even gods must obey. In the dawn of Hisui, a celestial Pokemon appeared, Arceus, the original one. It did not command with thunder or flame, but through stillness. The creation myth of Sinnoh describes it forming the universe from nothing, then withdrawing, allowing creation to continue without interference. The ring around its body represents infinity. Its 1,000 arms from older texts symbolize potential rather than control. When players meet Arceus in its own game, it does not battle out of pride. It tests understanding. Its message is not about winning, but about connection, that creation is participation, not ownership. Hisui's regional forms of the Lake Trio, Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf remain unseen but ever present. Their temples, carved into cliffs and caves, align perfectly with celestial patterns, reflecting humanity's earliest attempts to make meaning from the stars. Even the positioning of these lakes in the modern Sinnoh map matches constellations of the real-world northern sky, showing how myth and astronomy coexist quietly across centuries. From Hisui's spiritual calm, time shifts toward the heat and color of Paldea, a region where memory itself bends. In this place, Koraidon and Miraidon embody the duality of eras. Koraidon, the ancient guardian, moves like a living fossil, using muscle and instinct. Miraidon, the futuristic counterpart, glides on electric waves, its body a symphony of circuits. Together, they are the story of evolution told both ways, one looking back toward nature, the other ahead toward design. Their presence in the same world breaks logic intentionally, symbolizing that time in Pokemon is emotional, not linear. When they bond with the player, they don't just serve as mounts, they trust, adapting their rhythm to the rider's heartbeat. In the ruins scattered through Paldea's mountains, the 4 treasures of ruin sleep. Wo-Chien, Chien-Pao, Ting-Lu, and Chi-Yu, each was born from cursed objects filled with human malice, wooden tablets, a sword, a vessel, and a string of beads. The legends say that the hatred of an ancient king spread into these items, turning them into beings of immense sorrow. They do not attack the world, they reflect it. Wo-Chien carries resentment like a slow tide. Chien-Pao's icy blades move with vengeance. Ting-Lu's heavy steps echo despair. Chi-Yu's small, fiery body burns with jealousy. Their Pokédex entries describe them as disasters caused by emotion, each a physical memory of greed. Their lore is one of accountability, teaching that even beauty can become ruin when cherished without empathy. Deep in Paldea's Area Zero lies a phenomenon still not fully understood, the Paradox Pokémon. They are neither past nor future, but possibilities. Creatures like Roaring Moon, Iron Valiant, and Walking Wake resemble myths reborn, as if the imagination of earlier generations came alive through science. Some scholars in-game speculate that the machine creating them doesn't invent but remembers, that time itself can recall forgotten potential. The paradox forms blur the line between history and dream, making the world feel ancient and futuristic at once. The presence of these beings reinforces one quiet truth. Mythology never ends. It just changes shape to fit the next storyteller. Among the ancient myths revisited, Zygarde remains a lesson in patience. Hidden beneath the surface, it observes ecosystems and unites its many cells when balance is threatened. Its 100% form, the complete form, was meant to represent total awareness. The idea came from swarm intelligence, the concept that small, simple parts can create vast consciousness when they work together. In the anime, Zygarde's calm voice and deliberate movements reflect wisdom that acts, not speaks. Its existence bridges environmentalism and spirituality, a living embodiment of the planet's immune system. From the distant cosmos, Deoxys continues its lonely orbit. Born from a mutated space virus, it stands as Pokemon's most direct reference to evolution through adaptation. Its ability to change form between attack, defense, speed, and normal represents the survival instinct of life itself. The crystalline core on its chest pulses like a heart, symbolizing memory preserved across transformation. When found in meteorites, it reminds the player that life's origin story may not begin on Earth, and that creation is not a single event, but a repeating cycle across the stars. Even myths born from emotion evolve. Lugia, once thought of purely as the guardian of the sea, became a symbol of mental peace after its anime debut. Its deep voice and calm posture conveyed wisdom and restraint, a being that uses its power only to restore balance. The developers revealed that Lugia was designed entirely for the movie before being added to the games, a rare reversal where storytelling created mythology. The same applies to Entei, whose character arc across the third movie redefined it as a father figure born from dreams, not just flames. These reimaginings show how Pokemon's legends breathe, alive, open to reinterpretation, evolving with every generation's understanding of what power truly means. At the heart of it all lies Mewtwo, the artificial god who began as a reflection of hubris. Created through genetic manipulation of Mew's DNA, it was designed to be the strongest Pokemon in existence. Yet, in every portrayal, from games to films, its loneliness eclipses its strength. The Pokédex calls it intelligent enough to understand human speech, but too proud to engage. Its telekinetic power symbolizes control without connection, a warning about creation without compassion. In Mewtwo Strikes Back, its line, "The circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant," became one of Pokemon's most human truths, that identity is not defined by origin, but by choice. In every region, in every era, legendary Pokemon embody questions humanity keeps asking. What is balance? What is creation? What does it mean to be remembered? Whether they are gods of sky and sea, or small creatures of hope and joy, each one reflects the same quiet idea that strength is not domination, but understanding. Every myth begins with awe, but behind that awe, there is loneliness. For Mewtwo, that loneliness is the price of perfection. It was created to be unmatched, yet that design left it alone by definition. Its intelligence isolates it, understanding what others cannot. Even in its mega evolution forms, where its power doubles and its mind expands, it remains searching for peace, a being trying to quiet its own thoughts. The scientists who made Mewtwo sought strength without empathy, but what they accidentally created was reflection, a creature whose only enemy is the emptiness between thought and belonging. For Lugia, isolation is a gift rather than punishment. It hides beneath the waves not out of fear, but out of restraint. In the lore, it's said that even a flap of its wings can cause storms lasting 40 days. This burden makes it gentle, the strength to remain unseen. When players first encounter Lugia in the Whirl Islands, the silence of the cave contrasts its power. Even the sea itself seems to hold its breath. The developers once explained that Lugia's design was inspired by both dragons and birds, but its color scheme, soft gray and white, was chosen to symbolize calm authority like clouds before rain. It remains one of the few legendaries that radiates serenity instead of command. Ho-Oh exists on the opposite spectrum, pure emotion without restraint. It burns with color and hope, flying endlessly across the skies in search of a pure-hearted trainer. Its feathers shimmer in every hue of the rainbow, a reflection of the bond between human and Pokémon. The Pokédex says those who see it are granted eternal happiness, though no one knows what that truly means. Perhaps it's not immortality, but perspective, the ability to carry wonder through all of life's seasons. Ho-Oh's lore carries echoes of the real-world Phoenix, but with less tragedy and more continuity. It doesn't rise from ashes, because in Pokémon's world, rebirth never truly ends. The Lake Guardians, Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf, embody the three emotional pillars of being. Knowledge without emotion becomes arrogance. Emotion without will becomes chaos. Will without wisdom becomes destruction. Together they maintain equilibrium. Uxie's sealed eyes symbolize the cost of enlightenment, that to see all things is to lose some of oneself. Mesprit, the bringer of emotion, is said to leave the body when people experience intense joy or grief. Azelf, the being of willpower, moves unseen but inspires courage during despair. Their legends resemble moral philosophy more than mythology, gently teaching that even gods must balance intellect, feeling, and determination. In a more grounded sense, Zygarde represents patience within emotion. Its many cells operate in unison, not through command, but cooperation. Each piece moves with shared understanding, like a heartbeat distributed through the planet itself. The scientists in Kalos who study it refer to it as an observer of harmony, though in truth it is harmony embodied. In a world where every legendary represents raw power, Zygarde stands apart, strength through unity, not dominance. Its glowing hexagonal core pulses in rhythm, the soft green light symbolizing both life and alertness, like the earth itself watching quietly to ensure no imbalance becomes permanent. Yveltal and Xerneas, the twin forces of death and life, show emotion in symmetry. Xerneas gives without pride, Yveltal takes without malice. In Pokémon's mythology, their actions are not moral, but natural. Yveltal's wings resemble black branches, and when it absorbs life energy, it folds them like a cocoon, preparing for rebirth centuries later. Its developers described it as a visual poem about acceptance, that death is simply another transformation. Xerneas, with antlers glowing in soft rainbow light, represents vitality shared across living things. Its tree form, after expending its energy, connects to the idea that giving life also means returning to stillness. The two never truly oppose each other. They coexist like breath and rest. The emotional undertones of the weather trio show another side of balance. Groudon's aggression hides an elemental purpose, expansion, the urge to grow. Kyogre's endless reign is not despair but cleansing, the instinct to restore. Rayquaza's serenity in the sky bridges the two, keeping their extremes from colliding. In a way, they are emotional metaphors, anger, grief, and calm, forming nature's own psychology. The bright green hue of Rayquaza was chosen to represent renewal, while the red and blue of Groudon and Kyogre evoke conflict between fire and water. Their myth of ceaseless battle is less about destruction and more about communication, a conversation the earth keeps having with itself. In Johto, Suicune represents longing. It races the wind, purifying any water it touches, never staying long enough to be caught easily. Its story is not about being found, but about being pursued, a dream in motion. The translucent crest and flowing mane were designed to look like a veil, symbolizing a creature forever just out of reach. In contrast, Entei embodies passion. It is said that when a volcano erupts, one of its roars echoes within the flames. Its power is expression itself, emotion so intense it reshapes the world. Raikou, the final of the trio, embodies fear and awe, lightning captured in a single breath. Together, they show how emotion itself can become elemental, how feeling is as much a part of creation as weather or terrain. The Tao trio of Unova, Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kirem, represent conflict and reconciliation. Reshiram burns for truth, Zekrom charges with ideals, and Kirem freezes between them, incomplete until they unite. Their story teaches that emotion and logic cannot exist without tension. The ice surrounding Kirem is not lifelessness, but preservation, the waiting state between realization and expression. When fused with either dragon, its glowing core reignites, suggesting that truth and ideals, once joined, become wisdom. The elegance of their designs, with opposing color palettes and shapes, visually enacts the same philosophical dance their lore describes. In Galar's myth, Zacian and Zamazenta carry emotion through loyalty. They are not rulers but protectors, silent, steadfast, and ancient. Their weapons are symbols, not tools. The sword represents clarity. The shield represents trust. Together they fought Eternatus, a creature born of chaos and ambition. Eternatus's design, skeletal and coiling, evokes anxiety and restlessness, an alien fear of endlessness. The two wolves, by contrast, embody faith and calm, using harmony to quiet the storm. Even their Gigantamax battle mirrors a moral lesson, unity of spirit over overwhelming force. Marshadow, small and often unseen, shows another kind of emotion, the hidden bravery of those who stand in shadows. It mimics others' moves perfectly, observing rather than announcing itself. Its ghostly fire flickers green, symbolizing quiet energy. In the lore, it appears beside fighters to test sincerity, a spirit of truth hidden within struggle. In a franchise filled with gods and titans, Marshadow's humility gives it a special place, the reminder that not all strength is loud. And then there is Celebi, the guardian of time's emotional memory. It moves backward and forward through eras, ensuring that forests remain alive. Its wings hum like glass, creating a sound said to calm even the fiercest Pokémon. Celebi's appearance in overgrown ruins across games symbolizes continuity, that even when civilizations vanish, kindness leaves a trace. Its green glow was chosen to resemble chlorophyll in sunlight, turning an ecological detail into a spiritual metaphor. Every legendary, from Mewtwo's solitude to Celebi's hope, represents a human feeling stretched into myth. The Pokemon world isn't ruled by gods of wrath or greed, but by reflections of empathy, patience, fear, and connection. Each story reminds players that emotion itself is sacred, that the universe doesn't separate power from feeling. Instead, it weaves them together, softly, like threads of starlight through the dark. Every region in the Pokemon world tells its own version of creation, yet when all the legends are placed side by side, they feel like verses from the same story. The beginning always starts in silence, a still moment before light, before matter, before anything had meaning. From that quiet came Arceus, shaping time and space not with fire or thunder, but with order. It formed Dialga, who began the rhythm of seconds, and Palkia, who gave those moments room to exist. Together they built the framework for reality, and within that space, Giratina lingered, the reminder that even the purest creation needs contrast. The balance of time, space, and distortion became the first heartbeat of the Pokemon world. When the stars cooled and the oceans settled, Kyogre filled the depths with water, while Groudon raised the continents to meet the sun. Their endless conflict sculpted the world's shape, a storm and quake that became the cycle of seasons. Then Rayquaza descended, not to rule, but to mediate. Its green light parted clouds and brought peace to the chaos below. Every legend that followed echoed this same pattern: creation, conflict, and calm. The myth of the Weather Trio was never about destruction, but communication. Even the world, it seems, must argue with itself to understand harmony. Far above that endless sea, Lugia found peace in solitude, guarding the ocean's calm from the storms of emotion. Its twin, Ho-Oh, burned with the opposite energy, painting the sky in flame and color. One hid to preserve balance, the other soared to share it. Together they represented restraint and expression, the quiet and the cry, two necessary halves of spirit. When Raikou, Entei, and Suicune rose from the ashes of the burned tower, their revival was not a gift, it was a continuation. Through Ho-Oh, the world learned that even loss feeds life. In Sinnoh, Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf gave humanity the essence of being, thought, emotion, and will, three invisible forces that shape every decision, every bond. Their lakes still shimmer today, reflecting the mind, heart, and soul of those who visit. When they act together, it's said that they can summon Dialga and Palkia, just as the human spirit can summon both reason and imagination. The cosmic Pokemon, Solgaleo, Lunala, Necrozma, and Eternatus, pushed mythology into space. Their light represented consciousness expanding beyond the world's borders. Solgaleo and Lunala bridged the line between daydream and night, their shared child Cosmog reminding players that every star begins small. Necrozma's shattered prism form revealed another truth: even light can lose its way. Its hunger to absorb radiance mirrors the human desire for perfection. Yet, when restored, its light returns brighter, proving that brokenness is not failure, it's transformation. In Kalos, the contrast of Xerneas and Yveltal shaped a philosophy of renewal. Life and death, intertwined and inseparable, showed that existence isn't linear. When Yveltal rests, after absorbing life, it forms a cocoon of silence. When Xerneas gives life, it becomes a tree. Both gestures express the same message: everything returns to stillness eventually. But that stillness is not the end. It's preparation for the next beginning. In Galar's mythology, Zacian and Zamazenta carried faith through memory. They defended humanity in its darkest hour and then faded into legend. Their weapons rusted, their names became bedtime stories, but when remembered, they awoke again. Across every generation, this pattern repeats: gods who vanish until they are needed, myths that sleep until belief calls them back. It's not worship that revives them, it's acknowledgement. Even a whisper of respect, a glance toward wonder, is enough to stir the divine. The smaller myths, the mythical Pokemon like Celebi, Jirachi, Manaphy, Diancie, and Marshadow, exist to remind the world that not all legends shout. Celebi heals time's wounds quietly, appearing only when forests thrive. Jirachi dreams for 1,000 years and wakes just long enough to grant a wish, embodying patience as a form of love. Manaphy drifts through oceans of memory, creating life wherever it swims. Diancie forms diamonds not for wealth, but beauty, proof that art itself is sacred. And Marshadow, hidden in the edges of battlefields, watches courage bloom in the unlikeliest hearts. The modern legends, Meltan, Zeraora, Magirna, and Hoopa blend technology and myth, bridging humanity's curiosity with the spiritual. Meltan's body of living metal flows like mercury, symbolizing evolution through adaptation. Magarna's soul heart teaches that emotion can exist even in creation's machines. Zeraora's lightning reflects empathy disguised as power, defending people even when untrusted. Hoopa, once bound by arrogance, learns humility through confinement, showing that even gods can grow. These stories prove that the sacred never left the modern world. It simply changed shape to fit it. Across all timelines, there is one common pulse: connection. Legendary Pokemon are not separate from the world. They are the world seen through emotion, memory, and reflection. They represent the forces humanity cannot control but can coexist with: time, weather, life, death, and the quiet will of nature. Even the most destructive beings, like Eternatus or Yveltal, are not villains. They're reminders that balance demands contrast. The beauty of Pokemon's mythology is that it never divides light from darkness. It blends them until they become inseparable, until calm and chaos look the same beneath the stars. When players rest their heads after long journeys, after chasing Mew through tall grass, or meeting Ho-Oh above a tower's ashes, the legends remain. They hum beneath the world, soft and endless, like the vibration of a Pokeball in a quiet room. The universe these Pokemon guard is not made of gods and mortals, but of shared understanding. Creation continues, dream by dream, life by life, story by story. And somewhere, perhaps far above or deep below, Arceus watches in silence, not as a ruler, but as a listener. For even the maker of worlds knows that peace is not command, but connection. The world does not end, it only exhales,